I just want to start this video by being calm, composed, and not getting ahead of myself whatsoever.
Goodness gracious me! The greatest moment I've seen in Premier League.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it. The World Cup is coming home in 2022 already. Don't ask questions. Iran were no match for England on game week 1, with the Three Lions running out 6-2 winners. But what does that mean for England? Are we genuine World Cup contenders after this first game, or should we really take into account the fact that it was just Iran? Regardless, this result has given the population hope for the possibility of winning Qatar 2022. Give that trophy to us right now. I want to see the World Cup in the hands of Eric Dyer so he can keep it warm for Brazil when they win it. England made almost the perfect start to the World Cup this week with a pretty dominant win over Iran. Now, obviously, everyone's gone crazy about this one. Free-flowing football, playing 4 at the back, and scoring a ton. Is this finally the exciting football we wanted from Gareth Southgate? And is it going to return us that glory we achieved back in '66? I mean, the game has already captured the nation, it would seem. We got limbs going on at school in between lessons. Lil Jimmy getting detention because he was getting too involved in the chanting. There are not actually still 10 German bombers. This one kicked off at 1 PM on a Monday, lads. And Box Park Wembley was already full and going crazy. We are a jobless nation. Imagine my boss seeing me opening his goal instead of Zoom for a meeting that afternoon. Trust me, I'm walking out of my 115-minute lunch break a new man after seeing this scoreline. I'm gonna have to go into hiding when I get spotted on the big screen instead of being at my gerbil's funeral like I told my boss. Speaking of Box Park, actually, Barry from EastEnders was there giving a performance. His agent told him not to go and to focus on the acting, but he was having none of it.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Now the goals here, get ready for this one, were scored by Bukayo Saka with 2, then Jude Bellingham, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish. Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford.
Positive black boys around you making movements.
We're not playing Sweet Caroline at the pub anymore. It's Burna Boy last. I don't give a fuck. I demand some serious change for the national anthem before the USA game.
When I make a meal, 95.
Jadon Sancho must be fuming watching his mate score on TV whilst he's at home on loan at Harlem Spartans. Harry Kane saw the score sheet in the first half and had an interesting tactic attempting to get on it for the second.
Big up the whole island, massive. It's your boy Chatana, coming straight from that Golden Globe.
Ivan Toney's going to be fuming logging onto his Bet365 after betting on Harry Kane to grab 2 goals or more. Meanwhile, you've got Jack Grealish attempting to fit in with the rest of the goal scorers. But the one dance that he did do for his celebration was extremely wholesome. A couple of weeks ago, Jack met up with a Man City fan called Finley who has cerebral palsy at the same condition that Jack Grealish's younger sister has. Now, basically, Finley wrote a letter to Jack hoping to meet him and tell him how much of a big fan he was. Jack then surprised Finley at the end of one of his kids' games and agreed that he'd do a special celebration dedicated to him the next time he scored. And that obviously came as the 6th goal in this one.
Wilson in on goal, playing in Grealish.
Got another fan here, clearly, of Jack Grealish, who's not quite as wholesome in his delivery.
Do you remember? Before the Euros, there was a footballer that nobody knows. Now it's the World Cup. And he scores his goal. His name was Jack Grealish. His name was Jack Grealish. And you're like, he's my bubba. Oh, he's my boo.
Check his hard drive.
So I've got to say, after all the drama between the two of them, Miguel Almiron won't have been too pleased seeing that Grealish goal, and he'll be even less impressed with his Newcastle teammate Callum Wilson for setting it up.
That I felt betrayed.
Now this game featured almost 25 minutes of additional time in total. In the second half, I don't even know why, but in the first half we had a huge stoppage after a collision between an Iranian defender and their #1 goalkeeper, who was down for about 10 to 15 minutes in total, and then was almost allowed to continue despite clearly being heavily concussed and not knowing where he was. Now, first of all, it was a grim collision, and I really hope he'll be okay to compete in the rest of the tournament for Iran. I'm telling you now, that Iranian goalkeeper was not seeing Bukayo Saka bearing down on goal.
It's Emil Heskey!
What the fuck? This guy was diving for shots from Frank Lampard in his head. He's seen the flag and thought he's playing Denmark after this collision. He was seeing stars, and I'm not talking about the England front three. The physio appeared to have very little sympathy for their shot stopper. Right, so I'm going to dissolve this tablet into this drink, and then I need you to have it, all right? Right, we got a quiet one. Don't worry about it, lad. I'll slap a plaster on your noggin and you'll be good as new. Where am I? Who are you? Well, I could ask the same question about you, mate. No, but seriously, where'd you even play, mate? Free agent then. Whew, tough life for you guys. No, but seriously, just slap this Nurofen down you and then get a grip. Eventually, he was brought off of his own accord upon trying to continue, but he wasn't getting a huge amount more luck on the bench either.
Throwing away the match! Oh! Look at that!
Genuinely though, seriously, okay, we have new rules in football about concussions, okay, where if it looks like someone is suffering after sustaining a head injury, they have to come off the field to play. We've even given people extra substitutions to ensure that teams don't feel like they're being disadvantaged when one does actually happen. But fucking hell, lads, this guy thought it was 2026. It was a horrible, horrible decision, and the physios, anyone in that medical team needs to have a long, hard look at themselves or be sacked, to be quite honest with you. Because the guy looked at no point as if he was even able to stand on his own, let alone complete a 90-minute football match. I can't lie though, I sort of understood why Iran wanted to keep him on if possible, because their second goalkeeper was not quite up to scratch really. He was struggling when any English strike came towards him.
That was too hard. Someone's gonna get hurt if you kick it that hard.
There was a small stoppage in the second half when Harry Maguire went off injured. This guy's not fooling anyone. He went off, had a quick shower, and came back on for Iran, mate. He had a good game, to be fair, grabbed an assist as well from a corner for Bukayo Saka's first, but he was unable to continue after suffering from some kind of illness in the second half. And there's been a lot of talk about human rights in the build-up to this competition, but no one had any thoughts for mine watching Eric Dyer run about for 25 minutes. But the question that I asked at the start of this video is, should this performance have an influence on how we think England are going to do at this tournament, and whether it gives us hope that we can actually win the entire thing? Because don't get it twisted, scoring 6 goals in the first game of a World Cup is probably about as good as it can get, as long as you're not conceding 7. And in fairness to Iran, we did concede 2. I mean, the second definitely wasn't a penalty, and I don't know how there was 10 minutes of extra time. But even then, Jordan Pickford had to make an unreal save right at the end as well to deny Iran's second. But we were definitely pretty dominant overall. I mean, Jude Bellingham was unbelievable. I don't even want to think about his price tag next summer.
Over $1.2 billion.
Iran definitely didn't come with the same flair I was expecting them to. I mean, I was even disappointed by the throw-ins from them, for God's sake.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But overall, whilst Iran were a little bit disappointing, they are still like a good side on paper. Sardar Azmoun is one of their stars from Bayer Leverkusen, and unfortunately for him, he's been injured for quite a lot of this season so far, so ended up coming off the bench later on. But Iran already have quite a good front line, and they won their group in Asian qualifying above the likes of South Korea and Heung-min Son. So in terms of qualifying for the World Cup, these lot are not dickheads, and we did not even give them a sniff until literally their first goal of the game, which was so well taken in fairness, but obviously the game was done by that point anyway. And we were exciting as well, like the goals we scored were nice, and it gets your hopes up against the side that's not exactly the worst at the tournament. One that we should definitely expect to beat, and realistically beat relatively comfortably. I think we can be impressed by the character, the skill, and the bottle that we showed. Unfortunately, our FA didn't show any of that though. Now, next up, America.
It's called soccer. It's called soccer.
Who grabbed a 1-1 draw against Wales, having dominated the first half and then kind of fallen away in the second 45. Be interesting to see what you guys think that result is going to be this Friday evening. Can we make it 2 for 2? And for that matter, can we go all the way? Has this result given you guys at home the hope that England are going to bring it home? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.